Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, we are from the seventh group. We will presented our presentation. It's about evaluating argument. Here I have two friends. The first is Miss Ardiana Adnan and the second is Miss Saini. Okay, for the first point will be explained by Miss Ardiana.
Okay, the first explanation about study strategy. There are two study strategy. The first is deductive reasoning. The second is inductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is used when the author begins with a general statement. It is assumed that the rule or generality is true. The general points leads to determining the specifics. This will be the type of reasoning used by a lawyer who is defending or prosecuting the accused. So, deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning occurs when general principles are used to reach specific conclusion. The conclusion leads to proof or data or reasons. Okay, the second point is inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is the type of reasoning used by a jury to pass judgment on a defendant of guilt or innocence beyond a reasonable. Inductive reasoning occurs when specific information leads to a general conclusion, proof, data, or support makes the conclusion reach logical. Okay, the next point is deconstructing and evaluating arguments. Deconstructing and evaluating arguments means analyzing it to see how the parts fit together and understanding how the author constructed the argument either with deductive or inductive reasoning. Okay, here I have some ways to evaluating reasoning in an argument. The first is identifying the issue. The second, the author's points of view on the issue. The third, the supporting arguments. And the last one is the types of support used to persuade the readers. Okay, so guys, a real even argument is one in which the points of view is proven by the supporting arguments. In other words, the support is relevant or directly relates to the point of view expressed when the supporting arguments are complete, believable, and consistent with the point of view. We judge the argument to be sound. Okay guys, for the next point, will be continued by Miss Aini.
Okay, for the next point is errors in reasoning. The error in reasoning is that an author is operating from certain assumptions or beliefs that render the argument unsound. There are three types of errors in reasoning that I will explain. The first, logical fallacy. Logical fallacy occurs when the premises or supporting arguments do not support the conclusion directly, which makes an argument either irrelevant, not sound, or both. When an author's assumptions disrupt his or her argument, the result is a logical fallacy. The next is propaganda. Propaganda is an intentional error in reasoning in which the main purpose is to mislead. Propaganda is a type of message that functions to serve an agenda or promote a one-sided point of view. Even if the message contains fact, it is biased and does not present both sides of an issue. While all arguments promote one side of the issue, propaganda has negative connotation because the term implies that an author is deliberately manipulating the reader by confusing the issue and using deceptive tactics. While all persuasive text seeks to manipulate or convince the reader to some extent, the purpose of propaganda is to manipulate the reader. And the next is card stacking. Card stacking is a device whereby the author presents information in support of one side of the argument but not the other. This device is common in persuasion and is difficult to recognize because the purpose of an argument is to support one side of an issue and convince the reader to accept that particular point of view. It is important for you to consider counter arguments for any argument and to make an informed decision about whether or not agree with an author's position. There are 7 common propaganda devices or fallacies of relevance. The first, glittering generalities, are sweeping statements that are unsupported by hard evidence. Second, appeal to authority or testimonial is the opposite of a personal attack. In this type of irrelevant argument, an individual's testimony is considered proof of the point of view simply because the person is considered an authority. However, the person's authority is questionable. He or she is not qualified to be an authority on the subject in question. The third, bandwagon. Bandwagon is an error in reasoning where the author claims that everyone's doing this, so you ought to as well. This term derives from the expression hopping on the bandwagon, which refers to joining a popular movement. Politicians used to ride on large wagons while campaigning. Bands would play atop the wagons and people would jump on in excitement. Okay, for the next point will be continued by Miss Elma.
Well, okay, I will continue. The point is about 7 common propaganda devices or fallacies relevant. The fourth point is plain fog. Plain fog is an error in reasoning in which an author tries to convince the reader that a person is trustworthy. The author wants you to trust this character because he or she is a regular person just like you and me. This technique is used frequently in political campaigns. The fifth point, personal attack. Personal attack is a technique of attacking the opponent with name calling rather than addressing the issue at hand. This is the opposite of appeal to authority. The sixth point, a straw man fallacy. A straw man fallacy occurs when an opponent's argument is misrepresented and then it is argued that the original point of view has been addressed. This error in reasoning oversimplifies, misconstrues, or misrepresents the original argument. Sometimes quotations are used out of context as evidence for an opponent's position. The last point, an appeal to emotion. It is used to evoke a strong emotion in a reader in order to give power to the author's point of view. The appeal is to emotion instead of the logic. The author uses loaded and emotionally charged language and manipulates the reader. Okay, for the last point of our presentation, the author sometimes need a connotation of words and the use of particular writing style. It will help to reveal the author's position on an issue as well as the author's underlying attitude. Sometimes, however, the author may say one thing in writing and mean another. This is called author's intended meaning. Intended meaning include as euphemism and doublespeak. Okay, euphemism is a nice way of saying something unpleasant or blunt. The root word for euphemism is a socially acceptable way of substituting agreeable wording for unpleasant or offensive truths. We use euphemism all the time. Okay, for the next is doublespeak. Doublespeak is a type of euphemism. Is the use of language to blunt or nullify a harsh truth. This type of loaded language definitely functions to manipulate and obfuscate the situation. Doublespeak is deliberately constructed to disguise or distort the truth. It can take the form of euphemism or can involve deliberately ambiguous terminology. The difference is euphemism and doublespeak. If euphemism, we can use it all the time, but for doublespeak, sometimes it's exercised by corporations, governments, the military, social agencies, sports agencies, religious institutions, and other powerful bodies. It functions as a deliberate, manipulative effort to cloud negative connotation of words or phrases and make the terminology neutral. Well guys, that's all for our explanation. Thank you very much and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.